episode number 470 of the West Tigers podcast, recording on Sunday night, just hours after what we all witnessed out there at CommBank Stadium. And it's just Nick and I tonight. I think a few of the other podcast people are drowning their sorrows or pretending it didn't exist or just can't fathom or can't find the energy to be able to talk about the West Tigers tonight. And I don't blame them at all, Nick. It was tough going.
I don't blame them either, Joel. I was deliberating whether to join you, to be honest.
Yeah.
Didn't want to leave you on your own, but very, very difficult to get to muster the strength to come on here and talk about that annihilation. So, what a bleak, bleak day on a beautiful winter's day in Sydney.
It was certainly bleak. As we were just saying before we came on, what I would say though is that, and I know this is very, very, really no comfort at all. But two things: I don't think it's our worst ever loss. I think that loss to the Cowboys, given the Cowboys are not a team that's anywhere close to or in that context of when they beat us 74-0. So I still think that tops it. I think it's definitely in the top 3 or 4 or 5 of West Tigers losses, both statistically and just in the circumstances. But and I don't want to make it a Penrith Panthers podcast, but they were. I mean, what score would you give the Panthers for their performance? I don't think that that Ivan Cleary is going to be sitting there tonight going, well, we still got to work on this or still got to work on that. That was a 10 out of 10 performance. They would have beaten anybody today.
9.9. I'll take 0.1 off because Nathan Cleary kicked out the ball and he missed a goal. He kicked out the ball at one point as well. So bit of a red mark there for you, Nathan. Don't know if you'll get picked for Origin because of that, but we'll wait and see what happens. But
he needs a stint in reserve grade just to,
harden him up a little bit. But look, they were pretty clinical, and I don't want to talk overly about Penrith. Actually, I don't want to talk much about West Tigers either, to be blunt. But they were very clinical. They made us look extremely poor. They didn't do a great deal wrong. They dominated everywhere from possession through to time with the ball, everything, every stat. They absolutely annihilated. I think they ran for over nearly 2,500 meters, like 2,300 meters or something.
Yeah, I've got all the stats. We can run through those shortly. It tells the tale. The stats tell the tale. It's no surprise the way the scoreboard ended up. We've also got all the one-word submissions from the West Tigers podcast forum, and there's some good healthy debate there as well about where the club's at and where we go from here. What's your one word to describe that? Dare I say it again? 68-0 loss to the Panthers.
I did think of quite a few, Joel, and like we were saying a minute ago, I had to bring it down to a PG level. So I'll go with demolition. Which is what it was. It was just an 80-minute demolition. And you could tell after the first 15, 20 minutes when the scoreboard was already ticking over, it was 20-something nil after 20-odd minutes. It was not going to be a pleasant afternoon. And the way that we failed to even get ourselves in a position where we're staying in the game was pathetic. Very substandard. And I was just having a quick chat to our mate, Aaron, who's been on the pod a few times. His word's inept, so he didn't have a chance to put it on the forum. But I mean, very adequate word to be used for today's inept performance.
I've got quite a cryptic one. I would say it was 5 minutes when Pole lost that ball, and what had already happened was that the Panthers had all the ball. They were getting the set restarts. The Penrith were just rolling on. You could tell after 5 minutes it was going to be a long afternoon, and it was, and I've used the word unenjoyable a few times before, but as a West Tigers fan, there was just, and as a spectacle for the NRL to think about and comprehend, is that games like that for the opposition, and not that they care, but in the old days, a team that was a lesser team often had a chance because they could slow down the game or they could do something. And nowadays, if you're not on, if you're not at that standard, you just get entirely steamrolled. And what happens is the fans just have a really, really, really miserable afternoon. And that's what the NRL and the West Tigers and the Panthers, everybody involved, but that's what the end result was.
It's funny because when you watch the Fox coverage, Andrew Voss at some point during the game was just saying, I feel sorry for West Tigers fans. I don't know how they're still here. Not many have left. It's hard to watch. I was going through my social media feed before we jumped on. People from fans of other clubs and podcasters of other clubs are going on about Someone put a reel out. Penrith went over for their 50th point after however many minutes.
Mm.
And the guy speaking over the top of video was saying, please stop. You've already killed them. They're dead. Like,
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
score again. Like,
yeah, yeah.
it gets to that, doesn't it? You know, that we were absolutely annihilated. It was one-way traffic. I'm sitting at home waving the white flag.
Mm.
Like, just, I hate watching those games, especially
Mm.
when you know early that you're not in the fight and it's only going one way. It's just very hard to sit through 80 minutes of it. It's just painful.
I think if you take two, and I'll get to my one words in a moment, we'll run through all the ones from the forum as well. But I think if you take the West Tigers and the Penrith Panthers of 2026, and you absolutely 100% have both lineups with the same amount of rest, both at full strength, um, neutral venue, like no particular advantage, dry track, not no particular wind blowing in any direction. You take two teams out there and they've got a level playing field. I think even the most loyal West Tigers fan is going to say that the Penrith Panthers, if we played them 10 times across that, they're going to beat us 8 or 9 times out of the 10. They are, when we look at the Richo meter, we're average and they're a champion team. It's like
Yeah.
Farlap, they are right up there. They are, I would say, the best team. Look at the amount of premierships they won. They are the best team of this century so far. And we have to take that into context. We also have to take into context that we are missing a number of very important players and we are in a position where we are still building, and there are some issues with the roster, and our depth is still poor. So those things do have to be taken into account. I think that leads me nicely into one of my words, which is yardstick. They basically showed us, and let's hope we take something from this. They showed us how far off the pace we are. They showed us that there are some guys in that team, and it's not a shot at them, and it's not degrading them, but there's some guys in that team that so long as we've got them in that side or in that squad, we are a middle of the field at best kind of team. So they showed us where those things sit. Because sometimes, you have a couple of close wins, you beat the Gold Coast, you beat St George, you beat teams around where you are on the ladder, and you think to yourself, that Alex Seyfarth, he's not too bad, or that Maverick guy, if he just got a little bit more experience, those guys are going to keep getting you average results. So they've shown us exactly where we sit, and hopefully the club can respond, because that's the most important thing, is how do we respond from today? How do we look at that and go, yeah, that's not where we want to be, and we need to take every step possible to make sure that we don't experience that again. It's happening every year, isn't it? Like it was Melbourne last year, um, and it's Penrith this year, putting more than 60 points on us. Cowboys the year, I think it was the year before that. I've also got depth. I think depth is such an important thing. They're at full strength. We had an awful lot of New South Wales Cup level players in that team. They also got the bounce of the ball, and that's one of the funny things about those sorts of games, isn't it, Nick? Where everything if the ball's going to bounce, it bounces right into their hands. It was just one of those frustrating kind of games because we just couldn't get a break, even when. I think there was one particular moment there where we got the penalty and they challenged and that was reversed. We just couldn't cop a break, which is hard to sort of, it's not just that they're so good, but it just feels like everything's against you on those kind of days.
It's just that if I can just jump in, it's one thing to say everything went Penrith's way, and it's also another thing, which is true to say that they were full strength and we've got a number of players out, and we've been saying that for weeks now, which we do. And we've spoken about our depth and how maybe it's not as up to standard as what it should be. And potentially next year we'll be looking to strengthen those depth positions, which is all very valid. I just find it very difficult to think that, yes, we had a lot of players out, but the bulk of our spine was full strength. Our leader, Jerome Luai, is in the middle. He should be barking orders at the team. It's very hard when you're playing against an avalanche of points and against a system like Penrith Panthers, who are just relentless, right? They don't give you much. But the thing that got me is, and we spoke about in the previous pod, how do you beat Penrith? You've got to get in a fight from the kickoff. You have to get in an arm wrestle. We kicked off. I think Penrith, did they get a repeat set during their first set? They just rolled up the end of our field. We held them out for a good 5 minutes before they scored, but it was an avalanche. It was just one thing after another. And then, like you mentioned Fanua Pole's knock on. There was another one in the first few minutes from Charlie Murray,
Mm.
who dropped a sitter as well.
It was a
He
poor
just
pass, but yes, he did.
it,
Yep.
it was an average pass. It was
Mm.
still up around probably chest to
Yeah.
shoulder height. He should have taken it. He had a quick look at the defense who was
Yeah.
coming
Yeah.
at him,
Yep.
and he dropped it cold. But look, people make mistakes, but two in the first 5, 6, 7 minutes just put all the pressure back on the Tigers. We couldn't hold them out. Once Penrith got a sniff, they just drove the dagger in. It was just horrible.
They had two six agains before we even had the ball.
Yeah.
And that was what I was saying earlier. And then Pole dropped it, Murray dropped it. This is going to
Yep.
be a long afternoon, and it certainly was. I've got one more, and it's very cryptic. Okay, and it's an acronym, but the word is wit. So my last one word for this is wit, and
There's not a there's
you will
not an
never
F word
guess.
at the start
No,
of that, is
there's not. And I'm not talking about Ivan Cleary. No, wit. So that stands for whatever it takes. So this club has got to take an attitude today and tomorrow that we have got to do whatever it takes to make sure that our brand doesn't experience and our fans don't experience that kind of day again. We spoke last week on the pod about going from here and going up a level. Well, we've got to be ruthless, and that means that we've got to make some hard decisions and we've got to make some brutal decisions. But we cannot be at this point again. Um, that's wit. So physicality could be in there. I mean, the other thing we'll dive into the stats in a moment, but Nick, from the get go, the winning the collision, the line speed. We were just getting outgunned in every way, shape, and form. We still lack punch. We still lack winning that physical battle. The way that they're able to, a bit like Melbourne, they wrestle really well on the ground. They get a quick play of the ball. We've got some areas in that, even their backs, the amount of times that like Casey McLean was running at Taruva, and I love Taruva. He's a great player and he's great for the club, and I'm really glad we have him. But just that ability to, they hit each other, and McLean always came out on top. McLean always came out a meter down the field or 2 meters down the field. We just still lack that physical prowess, and I think without Twal there, especially early on, we just lack that oomph. We'll get into the stats, which really show that. What are your thoughts?
Agreed. I can't really say too much more. We were outmuscled, outplayed, outskilled. I think Penrith will really enjoy that one. I think it's probably a matchup that they mark in their calendar at the start of every year. It's the one game that they probably really want to win. A few grudge reasons. Obviously, Ivan's history at the club and a few players that have gone either way from West End, Penrith as well. But yeah, we were out muscled. Yeah, they won the battle in the middle. They won the battle out wide. They kept catching us out of position. Our wingers got beaten several times on both Tino's side and Tavana's side and
Yeah.
also Skelton. There were points everywhere. So
Mm.
hard to pinpoint. I'd actually love to be a fly on the wall tomorrow because Benji said they're going to do a really good review of that game and hold people accountable. So I would love to hear what he comes out off the back of that review. I don't think we'll get to, but I'd love to hear what he actually says. And I guess we'll get an idea on Tuesday when he names the team. But again, that's going to be difficult when we're already short on a few troops because it's going to be hard to potentially drop people because he might not have the depth coming in.
Well, Madden's done something to he over hyperextended his elbow, I think it was. Yep. Royce Hunt pectoral issue, that could be a long spell for Royce Hunt. Skelton had the HIA. I don't know if he passed that or not. And then on report, Pole, Gaia, which I thought was I thought that was just unbelievably soft why they put that on report. I mean, Cleary was kicking the ball and he was going for the charge down. I mean, I don't think he was ever going to do any damage, but anyway. And Seyfarth on report as well. Doesn't give a whole lot of options in terms of making changes. Benji, of course, said the game was unacceptable and embarrassing. It's going to be a big test for Benji, isn't it, to see what he does from here and what he can do to breathe some life back into the team, albeit like we were poor, but there's teams that have played worse and got beaten by 20. You know what I'm saying? Like I think we were really poor, but I just think you can't discount also just how good they were. That's where it makes it hard.
That's very true. The one thing I wanted to see us do was put up a fight. I wanted to see us get in
Mm,
the battle, which we did not do at all. So that's the biggest disappointment for me coming out of today. My other huge fear is, yeah, we're playing the Titans, but I watched their game yesterday. They were
yeah.
pretty good. Like I
Mm,
actually think they played pretty well
yeah, they beat the
against
premiers. Yeah.
against an underperforming
Mm,
Broncos. But to be honest, I think it was Gordon Tallis talking about the stats today on might have been on Triple M saying that the Broncos he didn't think were that bad and their stats weren't all that off. So look, Gold Coast are playing. They played a good game yesterday. You're only as good as your last game, and based on form, you would think that the Titans should be favourites. I'm not sure if they will be
mm.
next week, but I'll tell you what, last game at Leichhardt before it gets redeveloped, and we're not going to be able to walk through those gates in 18 months unless you go into something else after our last NRL game next week. But oh, gee whiz, I'm concerned. Like I hope the sun's out. I hope the crowd turns up. I hope the team turns up more than anything next
Mm,
week because if we don't beat the Titans next week, I know
mm.
we're only what six. It'll be 6-7 by then. But I'm starting to panic. So the fear has really set in, Joel. I know we'll talk about it a bit later, but I've had a quick look at the sums. So the four losses that we've had, the four heavy losses in the last
Yeah.
5 weeks,
Yep.
in total, it's
Uh,
210 against,
I don't think I want to
and
know. Yeah.
and we've scored 44 points.
Yeah.
That is a massive impact on the differential, and that
Yeah.
is just going to make it that much harder. Even if we do start winning games, come rounds 20, whatever the last round is,
Yeah. Yeah.
25, 26, 27, whatever it is, that could hurt. So we're in trouble.
Well, let's be honest. You don't deserve to play finals if with that sort of performance, with that sort of record. I know, the context of it is that we've had a lot of injuries, and that is definitely an issue. But if you look at it holistically across the competition, realistically, teams that have those sorts of periods shouldn't be playing semi-finals football. Or if they do play semi-finals football, they'll be cannon fodder. It's 6 from 12 to get to 30 points now, so we're still 50%. If we don't beat the Gold Coast, then my September holiday is
It's
looking
already
pretty
booked in.
good. I'm pretty feeling resting pretty easy. Yeah, I think it'd be another season without finals if we don't beat the Gold Coast. It's a massive, massive game for the club. And as you say, last game at Leichhardt as well for a while. The only thing I would say is that the Gold Coast always scare me because they tend to turn up and they play really well against us. We always have trouble against them. And big events at Leichhardt have sometimes led to big disappointment. And I can see it in my mind. 20 minutes to go, you look across to the other side, to the hillside, and there's the people walking for the gates.
Yeah. We have a really bad reputation of being, a team that we just cannot handle big matches. So that's
Yeah.
another reason why I'm a little bit worried about next week. You know what? I'm not going to put a line through us if we lose next week. I will be extremely worried.
Mm.
There's no reason why once we get Dewey back, who I think he must be getting close. But if we get Dewey back and if we can maintain the majority of our, starting NRL players in our side across the back end of the year, there's no reason why we can't go on a string of
Mm.
wins and mount a little bit of a charge. We might be cannon fodder if we scrape into the 8 and play finals.
Mm.
I don't
Oh,
really
you just
care.
got to get there. Like
We,
that's
we've we've got to get
yeah,
there.
yeah.
I'd love us to get there. Even if we can't, if we come 8th and we bow out the first week, so be it. We've got the monkey off our back, which is the main goal. Everyone wants to see us play finals, but
I,
it's a leverage point, right? It's a stepping stone
yeah,
into
yeah.
next season. Then
I'm going to ask you a hard question without notice. The Richo meter.
I can't remember what they are. We're slipping.
Great, good. I've gone from the top to the bottom. Great, good, average, poor, terrible.
Well, today we were terrible.
Yeah, you reckon terrible?
We were terrible.
Yeah, I'd say
We
poor.
would. If there's a difference between poor and terrible, what was the difference between that for you
Yeah, well, we
and
would have
today?
ended up, we would have lost by 90 if we were
Yeah,
terrible. You know what I mean? I just, yeah.
I don't
I,
think we did anything good.
I don't think we did anything good, but I don't think I don't think we were terrible. I thought we were poor, but we were just significant and dreadfully outclassed. Just they made us terrible in moments. Yeah.
You know what I can do? I'll pick out two players and we scored 0 points today. It's very hard to pick out anyone.
Yeah, I can't pick out anybody to say, they were the best myself.
I thought Jareem played pretty well. I don't think he had any howlers. I think he
Yeah,
was pretty solid. He
he was
tried his
solid.
heart out.
Yep.
And the fella that I didn't want to come in off the bench, I didn't even want him on the bench, but Tristan Hope came on and he
Mm,
tried.
he did try.
He tried really hard, and he got mentioned during the commentary as well that
Yeah.
he was having a go, and he was standing out as having a go. So those fellas didn't stop. There were a few that had a crack, but largely as a whole, it was a steaming pile of turd. I'll
Yeah.
just say that as politely as I can.
Underwhelming is a good way to
Yeah,
put it.
yeah,
Let's
yeah.
have a look at the one word submissions from the West Tigers podcast forum. Tigersman, they were on a road trip and watched it on replay, but that sounds really good because they were able to fast forward a lot of it. So that's probably what I should have done. I was working on my car and it was like 1:45, and I thought, I'd better go and have a shower and go and watch the game. And I switched it on just when the Tigers were running out onto the field. But I should have just stayed out in the driveway. I had other stuff to do. And then I could have fast forwarded through it. You would have fast forwarded through about 77 minutes of it, I reckon.
I wish I could have joined Tigersman on that road trip. I'd love to throw myself under the wheels.
Yeah. This is an interesting one. Now, I've actually made a little error here, and I haven't written down the person's name, but their word was mate. I'm sorry I didn't take notice of it. This is what happens when your coach is perceived as your mate, and saying that the boys were laughing and joking pre-game. I don't know if you saw that, Nick. I was just saying I didn't see any of the pre-game.
They looked pretty happy in the
Okay.
sheds. Yeah, the mood was up. Again, second week in a row, they didn't come and warm up on the field. They kept it inside the sheds, which is
Yeah.
interesting. It worked last week, so great. Didn't work this week, but yeah, they were jovial. They were all
Mm.
seems like they're in a good mood, ready to go. So
I would say that I agree to a degree, but also it's got to be on the players, surely. Like, surely the players have got to go, well, I've just been part of a 68-0 drubbing. That my own personal standards are not going to allow for that to happen again next week. Like, why have a coach that's bringing baseball bats and jumping up and down and carrying on and screaming and ranting and raving? Shouldn't the players be the ones that drive themselves to better performances, to higher standards?
everyone needs to hold themselves accountable. Benji, as always, after a loss, says part of it falls back on him, and he has to look at how the team prepared and what they did differently to last week. He did make a point of saying that our team, just didn't turn up like they did last week as well. He said something was very off, and it was very evident early on. So that'll all be reviewed. But just quickly, that the person that mentioned that
Yeah, yeah.
the mate one word is snake. So hello to
Snake. Sorry,
Snake, and
Snake.
thanks for your post.
Good one. NatMax78 writing. The writing was on the wall in the first set of the game. True. London Tigers, they went for outschooled, but I'd say we were schooled.
Yeah.
Mike's word was embarrassing. Dirty Red said disgrace. Mac Tiger, turn up. They didn't, and they need to join Benji in the apology. And Teddy S. Nick, I don't know if you've got this in front of you. You can go for it.
I'd love to say it
Go
because
on.
you know what?
Go
You
for
know
it.
why?
I've got it.
My father, who passed away in 2012, used to say this word to me a lot when I was young. I don't know why. I think because it was
It
a
wasn't
long,
directing it
confusing
at
word.
you, I hope.
Floxy Norky Nihilipilification. So there
That's
you go.
it.
A little bit of a stumble, but Floxy Norky Nihilipilification. I can't actually tell you what it means. I think it
It
might be
means
something.
completely worthless.
Yeah, completely
Yeah.
worthless. There you go. But yeah, great word, and good on you, Teddy S, for bringing that one up. Brings back some memories of my childhood.
100%. Yeah. Well, I've got to put my hand up and say I've never heard that word before in my life.
It's a cracking word.
Yeah. My favorite word is comeuppance, just for the record. If anybody's interested, it's a good word. I think we got our comeuppance today a little bit. Uh, One last thing, there's no point really going on too much. I mean, the stats 64% possession to the Panthers. That was 47 sets to 28. You're not going to win an NRL game by 1 point, let alone, you're going to get flogged if you've got none of the ball. Run meters, here it is, Nick, 2,331 to 885.
That's embarrassing.
590 post contact meters for the Panthers, 15 line breaks to one. And that kind of tells me, line breaks often tells me defense out wide is the problem. And look, to be fair, both the centers are wingers that we've got. Both centers are absent, so that's definitely something to keep in mind. Taruva tries hard, but he's not a centre. And Macassini is clearly injured as well and inexperienced, and is a winger at this stage in his career. I would say. I'd say the jury has delivered their verdict on that one.
An 18-year-old winger too.
Correct.
And you know what? I'll just point him out too. He got over the line today. Didn't get the ball down.
Didn't get the ball down. Yep.
But he knocked over again. He went past. Who did he go past first? He also ran over Dylan Edwards.
Yeah.
Again. Excuse me, but yeah, good strong run.
They made 46 tackle breaks, which tells me that you're winning the physical battle as well.
Yep.
Our average set distance was only 31 metres. So that goes back to that point. We need more thrust and more oomph from the forwards. We made 412 tackles. They only had to make 267. 46 missed tackles. 46. We got 1 penalty. They got 4. We got 3 restarts. They got 5. So yeah, I don't think I have anything else on my run sheet that we can really talk about. We talked about the injuries and the reports and the stats and the one-word submissions, and there's so much else we can say.
Those stats are as imbalanced as my mental state right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so lopsided. I had a quick look at that before we came on. The time in possession, the amount of possession, that's 64-36. Like, there's not many games that flip-flopped around. It's just incredible numbers to look at, how much Penrith dominated West Tigers. But, if the game was still going, who knows what the score would be, Joel? It'd probably be 300 to nil by now.
Yeah, well,
thank God it's only an 80-minute game.
I was going to say, well, thank God we're not sitting here talking 80-0, because they were pretty much going at the scoreboard.
Yeah, they were. I was almost going to say to you during the second half, if we don't score a point, maybe we don't do a pod. It might have been a good way to look at it.
But I don't know. I've had fun.
I'm glad you've had fun.
You've got to laugh, Nick.
Well, you know what? You know what I will say, and I alluded to it earlier. The weather yesterday and today in Sydney, absolutely beautiful. Crystal clear, blue skies, hardly a cloud in the sky.
Cold nights.
I'd also like to send a shout out to King Charles III, who we commemorate his birthday this weekend. It is a long weekend, so those of you in Sydney, in New South Wales, get a holiday tomorrow. So it's a much needed day off to get over today's misery. But big shout out to Charles. I think he listens to the pod, actually. Missed his one-word submission. So, Charles, if you are listening, I'm sure you are, go on to westtigerspodcast.com.au and put in your one-word submission next week after we beat the Titans at Leichhardt.
He's an interesting guy, King Charles. But anyway, we won't start that discussion. What about this for good news? I was going to show you this, Nick. Look at this shirt. Look, it's West Tigers.
Oh, your claws.
1999.
Yeah.
And it still fits.
Wow.
That's pretty good.
1990. There wouldn't be too many 1999 shirts around. Because that's before we even played our first game.
Very, very early in 2000. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
And it still fits. I'm doing pretty well.
You are doing well.
All right.
What's the secret?
Let's leave it there. Yes, the stress of following this team.
Never ends.
Join us on the West Tigers Podcast Forum. Have your say there. And if you're watching on YouTube, you can leave comments below. And if you're listening in, thank you very much. And we will regroup and have discipline and come back for a midweek pod, which Nick's going to be hosting. And Nick's going to be much more optimistic and happy. And I can't make it. They're not promises. They're just hopes at this stage. But thanks, everybody, for listening or watching. And keep your chins up. We'll get somewhere in the end. Thanks, Nick.
Thanks, Joel.